terrorists?
I think it's a pretty dangerous road to go down, to call them terrorists. I mean, I think that some of the responses so far have been, I think, within reason in terms of, attempting to prosecute them and also going over some of the protocol that we have as far as the communication goes. I would
But it
hope
is illegal to leak classified information.
Right.
That is against the law.
Prosecute them. I guess I get worried when people talk about assassinating,
because you can now kill terrorists and the president can decide to attack.
Right.
You connect all the dots and you're just like, I think I'll just shoot you.
Are they leaking? I don't know if they're the ones who are actually the leakers. I mean, I think
fair enough, Bradley Manning.
Right, exactly. And I mean, I think one of the things out of this, and I don't know how helpful this is from a whistleblower standpoint, like maybe some of the earlier documents that they put out in terms of Iraq. But this is, to a certain extent, there's a certain amount of reap what you sow. When the U.S. government lied us into a war and told us they knew there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq to invade and occupy that country, they began to chip away at the notion that we have a benefit of doubt or some measure of trust with our government.
So that you're saying that the trust gap, because Hillary Clinton talked about this today, this trust gap, where basically she's saying that there has to be a trust bond to allow confidential diplomacy to occur.
Listen,
I agree.
Reason to trust them.
I agree.
Right. Your point is that they started chewing on that.
The government, there used to be a time where the government said, we can't do this because it's going to hurt the relationship between us and the American public, or it's going to hurt the relationship between us and the world's public. And now we have a situation where that trust bond has been shattered, and because the Obama administration never held anybody to account, this type of thing, I think it's very easy.
And perpetuated a lot of those same policies. A lot of people like to point at George Bush for the war policies, but at this point, the truth is the Obama administration is at the very least guilty of perpetuting a lot of those same policies.
But I don't know if they necessarily lied to the American public.
I'm not saying that they did, but they did. Their integrity seems to be compromised.
I don't relitigate the Iraq War, but if you actually had looked at the information that President Bush had, you would have assumed that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction.
But
was that a matter of...
Actually, you may not have. There were plenty of people who looked at
again,
information
let's avoid that. The point is that there is a deterioration in the trust of American diplomatic integrity. Period.
And that may be true.
Which then creates this vulnerability.
I think that Sam is actually right in the sense that Private Manning is the one who swore an oath to the Constitution. He is the one who I think has violated his oath, and I think he should go to jail or the prison for life. Having said that, I think it's a little bit dangerous to call WikiLeaks terrorists. I mean, how much different is what they did compared to what the New York Times has done in the past? If we were talking about the New York Times, a credible, considered credible news organization, we'd have a different standard.
I mean, we've actually also sort of degraded what even the term terrorist means.
No, terrorist is somebody that the president can kill without a trial.
There you go.
That's how you define a terrorist.
But I will say this:
if I shoot you,
if I shoot you, you're a terrorist.
Must have been a terrorist.
If terrorists had the ability to get this information and had decided to leak it, it would have been a brilliant idea. So actually, the end result, even though I don't think they're terrorists, it's about the same.
Anything else, Sam?
Well, I mean, I think just the bottom line is just that this is a function of what happens when you break that trust, I think, on some level.
It's also technology. I mean, this is the natural progression of data.
To both of those points, I actually think one of the interesting things about the data that's come out is the lack of trust between the United States and our clients, and our client countries.
Meaning as revealed in
the documents, the fact that we wanted to spy on our fellow members of the UN, we wanted to spy on fellow diplomats, and actually, this worries me even more. It seemed like kind of inept spying. Like they suggested
Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd were somehow involved.
They suggested like getting iris scans of fellow diplomats, which I'm not sure how you
steal his eyeball.
How do you do that?
The obvious point, though, is that not only did it reveal the lack of trust, but it doubles down on the lack of trust. I mean, and it could have...
This does.
But maybe they shouldn't trust us.
But I think, look, I don't think that this is devastating
into a war.
in the sense that I don't think the information that came out in and of itself is devastating. But what I think it does do is really put us in a dangerous situation where if you want to tell a secret to the embassy and you don't want people to find out because they might kill you, you're now going to think twice. That could ultimately be a terrorist attack that we could have avoided. So once you start to break down whether or not it's Iraq, whether it's whatever, once you break down trust, it's dangerous.
The only thing that I will say about all this, and I mentioned this with Brett McGurk off the top, and I just learned this today, is that the number of people that have had the access to information that Bradley Manning had is 2.5 million people.
Right. It's shocking. This is the only incident.
Exactly. That's
unbelievable.
Yes.
And also, how do you get to be, like, I'm curious, like, what Private Manning's sort of background is.
He's
like,
one of the 2.5 million.
But how quickly do you get to be an intelligence analyst? Like, I mean, I had to put in
And you
some
saw
time
how he
before I got
delivered
on
it?
cable TV.
You saw how he delivered the information?
Oh, in the Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Like
Enjoy
a
some
true-
Lady Gaga.
Right.
We'll see you
Lady
later.
Gaga. Wink,
I mean-
wink.
You know, you got to wonder.
Goes
I
to
mean,
his Chevy
you got a
Chase,
22-year-old, 23-year-old guy, and
On
you
the
got to
list.
wonder. You know, after the sort of coming out of this era where there has been such lying to the American public with such incredible costs to us and to innocent civilians around the world, you got to wonder what the implications are of that. And I think maybe this is one of them.
That's why I think he has to go to jail for life, because they need to send a message that when you
Well, what about don't
let
look
him
back? I love the accountability for this guy.
Well,
But
no,
what about the
this
Bush
is going to be a
administration
message
telling
to
us-
all those other 22-year-olds out there who have access. I mean, obviously they're going to
What he
restrict
should
the
get
access.
is a trial. I mean, we have to.
Well, we have
I
to
mean,
assume he's
What if he's a
guilty.
terrorist? Then you can just shoot him.
Let's send a message to the leaders too, who created, who fractured
They
this
should get a
trust.
trial as well.
I agree with you.
Say.
Well, and you make a good point that we're assuming he's guilty. We don't know that he is. Maybe he's a fall guy, but he appears to be guilty, and
I just think it's important.